It was a cool, dark night. The moon was illuminating the flying buttresses at Notre Dame, and as I looked up at the gutters, I noticed there was a downspout that was missing a gargoyle. Now, I have been training for this exact scenario for the last 900 years, so I leapt into action, raced home, pulled one of the finer slabs of Italian marble that I'd sourced from my personal quarry just outside of Carrara, Italy, turned on some electric chiseling music, some ECM with a good beat to it, and I got to it. Now, the piece I chose to create had the tail of an F-18, had the hind legs of a Tyrannosaurus, the wings of a Jabberwocky, the torso of the Statue of David, the talons of Cardi B, the mane of Jason Momoa, the eyebrows of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and all the wonder of Nicolas Cage. I spent the most time on the tongue because if you've ever chiseled a gargoyle before, you know that the tongue is structural. It has to have the right slope and the right loft to launch the water away from the foundation to prevent erosion. When it was done, it was fierce, but it was also approachable. So I wrapped it in bubble wrap, strapped it to my broad shoulders, and I returned to Notre Dame, through the catacombs. When I got there, it was dawn. The bells were ringing. I scaled the wall to the roof, dug my spurs into one of those oak beams so I could hold my position. And using some of the ancient techniques, ancient masonry techniques of the G-Funk era, I applied a thin bead of JB weld to the beehole of the gargoyle and I mounted it on the downspout. Let it sit there for about 30 seconds to set. Then I lowered myself down, gingerly, and admired my work. Just as I was, a tear dripped from heaven, hit the roof, rolled into the gutter, into my gargoyle, and I knew I needed to capture it. So I pulled a flask from my breast pocket that was given to me by Tom Cruise. The backstory here is that we were both wearing tuxedos, sprinting in the French Riviera, doing some mission that Tom didn't think was possible. He ran out of breath, dropped to his knees. He reached out to me and he said, "David, you deserve this more than me." And he handed me this pewter flask that was engraved with TC, and he said, "Take good care of this." I assured him I would. So I used that flask. I lined it up with the tongue, caught that tear, and I immediately knew I needed to taste it. I put it up to my lips. That tear, it burned my throat, went straight to my legs, and told them to shut up. I have never felt so hydrated in my entire life, and it was at that moment that I knew I needed to launch my own top shelf water brand. Stay tuned.